GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly. Ooh. Need an answer to your question, John, you'll have a suggestion. He's a fountain of all knowledge. I think he might have gone to GarageBand College. What he doesn't know, we'll try and find out. So join the chat and give him a shout. Hey, John, GarageBand Weekly.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Is that what I say? Welcome to GarageBand Weekly, where on this week's show we got some news and notes for you to talk about all things going on in the world of tech and music and Apple and GarageBand and Logic and all the rest of it. And we are going to dive in and look at the keyboard player in Logic Pro for iPad. So if you're a Logic user and you're like, hey, what's all this new synth player stuff all about? I want to use it in my keyboard player tracks. We're going to cover that in detail later on in the show. But first of all, hello. I hope you're doing well. Sorry, I was a bit rushed because you don't want me without coffee. I needed to get my coffee so that we could get through the show. Otherwise, about 30 minutes in, you'd start noticing something was not quite right. There was a lack of caffeine in the bloodstream. Welcome aboard. Hello to the folks who have joined us here live already. The early birds catching worms. Alexander Dean Francis, Mr. Mark Bro, Thomas Christ is here. Hello to Al Davis Music, Lewis Cook as well. I hope you are all doing swimmingly and having a good old time here. And we will dive on in to the news and notes in just a jiffy. I'm just trying something new here, but I'm not sure that it's going to work because I didn't prepare it quite properly. Yes, as Thomas is mentioning here, you can become a channel member. We had a great Your Music Live yesterday and a wonderful after party with the members where we chatted about hockey and food, and I can't even remember what we chatted about. I'm sure it went down some sort of weird rabbit hole because it always does. And yeah, huge shout out to all those who donate to the channel. There's the members and the patrons, and they're sort of the more public thing. And then there's people that very kindly, privately donate. And I know that they do that because they don't want a big song and dance, but here you go. You are awesome. There's your song and dance. But I do thank you because, again, independent creators like myself, we rely on you. We rely on your kindness and generosity. And there's many people who just subtly behind the scenes help me out both emotionally but also financially, and couldn't do it without ya. Hello to you, Concentrated Generation Worship. G'day. I hope you are doing well. And hello to Jade Star. G'day. It's Garner, right? Yes, we'll talk about that. Apple event or non-event announced for March 4th. Yeah, so my news was pulled together yesterday. We'll have to look at that on the fly because that might be related to one of the things that we're going to talk about in the news and notes section in just a moment. So we'll go and we'll research that because that'll be interesting to see if there is. In fact, let's go Apple event March. Let's just... Apple is having an event on March 4th. See, 7 hours ago. See, I do my preparation the night before. Maybe what I need to do in future is actually do my preparation 1 hour before, because in the world of tech and things moving fast, yeah. And it's safe to say that because I didn't know, I'm not going to New York for the March 4th event. But yeah, we'll have a look-see at what that might entail. In fact, let's start with it. Since the reason we have you here live is that you can help me out and help me with the research stuff, let's dive over here. So what do we know? Well, I'll go to, no, I won't go to App Insider. Let's go to 9 to 5 Mac. They normally have the most balanced coverage. So let's jump over to 9 to 5 Mac and see what's going on here. So March 4, here's what to expect. So they were invited. So they're going to New York later. They're going to New York. That's cool. So they reckon the new low-cost MacBook. What do we think of that? The MacBook with an iPhone chip in it. That will be interesting. New M5 MacBook Air. Yeah, that's probably a no-brainer. The new M5 Pro and M5 Max MacBook Pro models. So at the moment, the MacBook Pro, the one that I'm using, is just the standard Pro. They don't actually have the Ultra or the Max chip. So that'll be interesting to see. New Mac displays could be interesting. At the moment, The only display really worth considering from Apple is $1,700 here in Australia, so I don't own it. I bought a $500 LG that's almost as good, so I'll be interested to see that. The iPhone 17e, I mean, the 16E was not, I wouldn't say it was a flop, but it really didn't do much. So that's interesting. The base iPad, that could be interesting to see because the rumor is with the A18 base iPad, the new base level iPad will actually be able to run things like Apple Intelligence. And that doesn't matter for, who's using Apple Intelligence. Who's making their own Genmojis and using Image Playground? Not many folks. But the fact that it can use Apple Intelligence means that it's going to be able to use other AI features. Basically, Apple are pulling their range up with chips that can run AI. Because guess what? AI is the three-letter word of 2026. An M4 iPad Air, which was the one that I'd had on my shopping list and my radar, because it looks like the iPad Air will get an M4 update, which is pretty cool because it'll mean that you'll have the M5 iPad Pro and the M4 iPad Air, both of which will run everything you need to do. So yeah, there you go. We will see what the event will be, a special event, a special March event. And look, this isn't unprecedented. There's usually a March event, it's usually WWDC mid-year, and there's always an iPhone event in September. They're the ones you can basically mark on your calendar going in. So we will see what we get in terms of iPads and Macs and other things. Yeah, look, the iOS and Mac line. So yeah, we now have M-series chip. We now have desktop chips in our iPads, and now we're going to have iPhone chips in our laptops. What? Which just goes to show that these days, a device is a device. Gone are the days. Like I remember having debates early on when people were like, no. If you're creating in GarageBand on your iPhone or your iPad, that's not a real computer. You're not going to get the right results. You're not going to get good quality audio without a real computer. And that was true until it wasn't. That was true until we got 24-bit audio in GarageBand and in Logic Pro on iPad. So Logic Pro can go like to 32-bit float now. It can definitely do 24 very nicely. And even though I don't go over 48 kilohertz, you can go 96, 192 kilohertz if you've got the right gear plugged in. So the old argument that it matters whether you are looking at a screen with a touch keyboard or whether it's a touch screen or whether it's a desktop or whether it's a laptop, all of that's kind of gone by the wayside. To the point now where my studio desktop here is exact same guts as what a MacBook Pro would have. And that wasn't the case. In the past, there was always the mobile chips and then the desktop class chips. And, you'd try to get a desktop replacement laptop, but it was never quite there. Now it's exactly the same, with the exception of these new cut down ones where they're putting an iPhone chip in them. Yeah, look, I do too. What was it last week? I wanted to do something. It was something to do with sushi. So I needed to create a special emoji to reply to Georgie with just to look like a smart butt. Yep, AI is the three-letter word of 2026. Quote it. Put it on a T-shirt. Speaking of T-shirts, before we go on, I wanted to thank this guy, Dan Ekberg. He sent me this T-shirt ages ago. And the problem was it really didn't play nicely with my green screen because of this yellow outline. Basically, anything yellow or light green or anything like that goes all see-through and makes things weird. But guess what? Now that I've ditched the green screen, at least for now, then I thought we'll use it. So yeah, got grunge. It's the got milk, obviously. We didn't get it in Australia, but I do get it because cultural references, because everything that America did in the last 3 or 4 decades, Australia knew about because of TV and movies. And now we're really hoping we don't follow along. Let us say good day to other folks. Andy Aspine is here as well. I saw a Joe Glenn there. I saw a Barry Glenn. I saw a Professor Boomer. I saw Ruben. Yeah, so what is it? It's Consecrated Generation Worship. CGW. I'm just going to call you CGW from now on. Is the Arturia MIDI controller keyboard class compliant for iOS and Mac? Yeah. Good thing about a lot of the Arturia, especially the key step stuff, and Jade Starr has covered these in depth on her channel. So go check out Jade's videos on those. But the good thing about the Arturia stuff is a lot of it is actually on device. So instead of having to run drivers to do things like transposing and a lot of the built-in functions, it just sends them all out as MIDI. So you plug it in, you hook it up, and then it does it on the keyboard and it sends it out and interprets it there. Whereas a lot of other keyboards, they need the software side to do a lot of the fancy transposing and other things. So yes, that is a good thing. We had another question, which we'll dive into here before we get into from Andy. What are your thoughts on the iOS 26.4 Apple Music get a redesign and the podcast app gets video now. Yeah, look, it's interesting, and it is one of our items in the news. That where is that? I have that. Here we go. First development beta, and the focus appears to be on refinements and system level improvements, and continues Apple's incremental update cycle ahead of major annual releases. So yeah, the 26.4, as our friend Andy has pointed out here, it's not going to do a lot. If anything, it's going to be continuing the fix cycle. So 26 was a little controversial in that it brought in some new things like the mirror, the glass look, the see-through glass stuff, and some other changes to things like accessibility that actually made things worse. So they've kind of been backpedaling on a lot of those things and trying to make things a bit better. But yeah, look, Apple Music needs a redesign. Apple Music is confusing. Every time I go to look for it, I look for Apple Music and it's just music. And every time I open something in Apple Music, it's just compared to, this is the problem with Apple Music and with YouTube Music, Spotify's nailed the user experience and the user interface. For everything else that I have to say about Spotify, and I have a lot to say about Spotify, that you can't argue with the fact that people love the user experience. And from a consumer point of view, as long as you just very blindly ignore everything else that they're doing, it's actually pretty cool. That's why my daughter uses it. I was speaking to Patrick about this on a recent show. His wife is the same. She loves Spotify. She's got all her playlists. She's got all her friends. She's got everything set up just the way she likes it. She goes in there when she wants to listen to music. It's all there ready for her. That's what you want from a product. And people pay more than they probably should for that product. And people accept questionable business practices because they like that product. So yeah, hopefully the Apple Music interface will be much better. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, sorry, mate. I have been enjoying this one off camera, but again, I couldn't wear it on camera because of the green screen situation. So, let me put it out there to you right now. If you send me a T-shirt, I've had T-shirts from from Deadwood Valley. I've had T-shirts from the Chandler Brothers. I'll wear them all. I love a good T-shirt. XL currently. Down from double XL, trying to get to L. I'm working on it. But XL's the sweet spot. That's where I'll normally fit into if you want to send me a T-shirt. Yes, please be safe. Friends don't let friends text and drive. So make sure that you do be safe 100%. Stopped using Spotify and use Deezer now, Lewis. Well, that's cool. I've played with, I think Deezer have a free version. I've played with Deezer. Deezer looks good. Deezer apparently has a lot better ethics than a lot of the other platforms, but I've never actually dived into Deezer a whole lot. But you know what? Just like I said at the start, that laptop, desktop, iPad, iPhone, none of that really matters anymore. Your choice of streaming platform doesn't really matter in terms of what music's actually there. There's very little that is exclusive to Apple Music or exclusive to YouTube Music or exclusive to Spotify. The benefit and the reason that I use YouTube Music for the vast majority of my listening is just convenience. I have one YouTube premium subscription that is everything video and everything audio that I do. It's all just right there. So if I'm watching videos, it's right there. If I listen to music, it's right there. If I go to music and it can't find that particular music, it'll jump straight into YouTube and pull the audio out from a YouTube video and play that instead. So if I can't find the exact song I want, if it's not available, it's been pulled, whatever, it'll just go find a live version or a uploaded version of it. So yeah. On the road to L, book title. There you go. Everyone else is expanding this. Oh, look, I'm far from shrinking, my friend. But I had a goal, and that goal was to reach a certain target weight by my 47th birthday, and I'm 1.5 kilos away from it. So we're getting there, and then I've only got 10 more in the next 3 months. So we're doing it. On the topic of Spotify, is Spotify for artists to check the streams? Which section is accurate section of how many streams a song actually has? Look, that's how long is a piece of string is the answer to that question. The reporting, if you try to compare and balance the streams that you see in your Spotify for Artists account, the streams that you see on Spotify Player, the streams that your distribution company report that you had, they are almost never going to balance. And that's for various reasons, not necessarily nefarious reasons. Quite often it's just because it's really hard and they're using different date ranges to like one might use the month as the whole month, one might cut it off at the last day. So yeah. And look, does it make it really hard to audit and be confident? Yeah, it does. But we're trusting Spotify or the streaming platform in the first place anyway. So, like when they say you had 387 streams, you don't know that you had 387 streams. Like there's those times where you think a lot more people that have streamed your stuff have been talking about your stuff or email you or talk to you online about your music. You're like, I can't believe I have that few streams. And then sometimes you have a situation where your distributor says, oh, yeah, you just had 10,000 streams from Angani or some platform you've never heard of. And you're like, that seems completely odd. I hope I haven't been put on a botted playlist because that's the problem. The problem with streaming these days is it's very easy. If you get those vanity numbers, either through you trying to pay for botted plays or someone nefariously putting you on a bottom playlist as a bit of revenge streaming. Yeah, that's going to be the new thing, isn't it? We're going to revenge bot that artist that I hate. Let's get them on a botted playlist so that they get kicked off of Spotify. It's happening. It's a real thing, and it's kind of crappy. So. But yeah, if anyone has the answer to that, if anyone has ever been able to reconcile their stream numbers, I'd love to. Even on YouTube, it's the same. On YouTube, when I release a video, there's two places I can see it, in my studio under videos and on my dashboard. Those two numbers never match. And then when I go to the YouTube player and actually look at what you see, that doesn't match the other two at all. So again, it's counting it, but it's using different ways of counting. So yeah, I know the maths nerds of you out there would be hating that. Hello, Galilei Chateau. Hello, Denise. I hope you are doing well. G'day, Mark's Noise. My singer is begging me to go to Mac and Pro Tools. Love my iPad Air, love GarageBand, Pro Logic, newbie challenges. For now, I'm extremely happy everything works. And look, the thing is, you can work cross-platform really easily. So if your singer wants to, depends on who's doing like the final mix and master. If your singer wants to use Pro Tools and you want to use Logic Pro or GarageBand, yeah, just stem everything out, especially Logic Pro. It's really easy to stem it out, which just means exporting it as individual WAV files. Look, is it as convenient as sharing a project that already has plugins and everything else in there? No. But especially if they're just doing the singing, how about you say, hey, singer, pipe down. No, don't do that. Pipe down, see what I did there? Because they got the pipes? No. But if they're a contributor, so usually, it's the guitarist or a drummer or a singer, and you're doing the major production on the track, they can record in whatever they want. If they love Pro Tools and they love all the ways that the Pro Tools works and all the plugins that they can use, just get them to record in that and send you a stem. And it's good. Yeah, exactly. What works for you, will be better. And that's the thing. People often say when they come to me and they're like, oh, I'm really sorry, Pete. I don't like GarageBand or I don't like Logic Pro. And I'm like, you don't need to apologize. Use whatever works for you. If you use Ableton and you make good songs, rad. If you use Pro Tools and you make good songs, super rad. Like, I don't care. If you use Audacity because you're so used to the interface and you make good songs, great. More power to you. When we do Your Music Live, it's not like we do the show and then someone says, oh, that was a really great song. I really loved it. But I really need to know what DAW you used to create it. No, nobody cares at all. All right. Let's get into news and notes. We've already covered a few of them, but we'll go back to it. So Spotify subscribers are pushing back on price hikes. Yeah, so some long-time Spotify users are saying that they're cancelling after repeated subscription increases. So frustration is growing over rising costs while Spotify expands into audiobooks and other ventures. And the debate continues around value versus competition from Apple Music and YouTube Music. So my 2 cents on this is, similar to the DAW, look, use what you want to use. If you don't care about the company or the values or aligning their ethics with yours, that's okay. I work with companies that shall remain nameless, Amazon, that I don't necessarily align with their values. But they're kind of a monopoly. And if I want to feed my children and keep a roof over my head, I have to have a gear guide that does affiliate sales. And I have to do those affiliate sales through the place where everyone else buys their gear. So I use Amazon affiliate. And I don't say that to say that they do everything wrong. Clearly not. Just like Spotify don't do everything wrong. like I said at the start, they have a great user interface, they have a pretty good community, but they just don't pay their artists and they invest in questionable things. And you can go and do the research on that. And by research, I don't mean go to these AI music groups, because they'll tell you that it's great. You can put out an album a week and it can be all AI, and Spotify won't care. Anyway, so Spotify's CEO delivers a strong industry message. Yeah, so Daniel's come out and said that, yes, we're looking at our strategy amid all the price hikes and industry pressure, and the emphasis is on long-term growth and platform expansion. And look, that's great and lovely and nice to hear for the investors, but long-term growth in the music industry right now, what does that even mean? Because nothing is long-term. We don't know what's going to happen next week, next month, let alone next year or a 5-year plan. The whole concept of a 3-year plan and a 5-year plan, it's lovely to have that, and you should still plan things, but no one knows where we're going to be because there's too many balls in the air. There's too many things that could impact and change between now and then, both politically and economically, and like global politics as well as industry, as well as things like AI, things like cryptocurrency, things like hedge funds investing in everything, things like number go up investors caring more about profit than they do about products and services. So all of that stuff means that I don't know that you can actually say that. Let's move on to number 3. In ironic news, and on the flip side, who's heard of Anna's Archive? I hadn't until I read this story, and then I went down a rabbit hole, and it was an interesting rabbit hole indeed. So Anna's Archive allegedly scraped large amounts of Spotify music data, and legal action has reportedly followed the mass data release, and it does raise concerns around copyright, piracy, and AI training data sets. So what Anna's Archive says, it's kind of like archive.org, but without caring about if it's in the public domain or not. So archive.org, if you don't know, is a wonderful resource. If you're looking for something old or out of print or no longer available, or like abandonware sort of stuff that's no longer sold. So it's no longer being able to be profited by. Either the copyright holder no longer is enforcing its copyright, or it's past it's in the public domain. So archive.org, great. Anna's Archive, what they want to do is document and keep everything, including things that turns out they don't actually own the rights to maintain. So what that means is that, Spotify are unhappy now because, ironically, Spotify's music is one of the things that's being scraped in order to keep a copy of all this music. So their idea was, great, an old out-of-print record, someone digitizes that, and it's no longer copywritten, and then they put it on Anna's Archive so that other people that enjoy that music but can't get hold of that physical media can have a copy. Great, winning. Do people still say winning? I don't think so. But when it's already available on a paid digital streaming platform like Spotify, and you're just scraping all of those podcasts and scraping all of that music and then just putting it up somewhere else, they don't get too happy about that. So interesting. Lots of Spotify related stuff going on at the moment. We'll pause and talk to this question. I'm currently working on a mix on my iPhone. I feel very confident about it. I don't want to make that, and I want to make the next step. What do I do? I'm trying to learn EQ better. We're all just a work in progress. Yeah, look, we talked about this on last week's show. How do you know when a song's finished, when it's done? The best thing, and the advice I gave last week, and I'll say it again, is try not to touch it too much. So what you tend to do is at the end, you start fiddling with things and you start EQing things and adding compression and second guessing every single decision you've already made in the mix. So what you want to do is get your mix out of the door so that you're not tempted to change anything and listen to it somewhere else. I don't care where that is. That's the car listen, that's the iPad listen, that's the iPod listen, that's the CD listen. If you want to burn a CD, I don't know. Listen on your home speakers, your home pods and whatever else you have, whatever it is. But just listen somewhere else. Make notes and then come back and adjust what you've done. And then listen again, and then make notes and come back. Because a lot of the problems I see people get into when they're second-guessing their mixes is they're sitting there and they're twiddling and fiddling. And the more you twiddle and fiddle, the worse it becomes. Don't twiddle and fiddle too much, folks. Trust me. Yes, teenage years. Anyway. I wouldn't consider Spotify to be a real archive. Usually archives don't pull things down they don't like. Yeah, so there's that, isn't there? And archives usually don't pay some people for their stuff and not others. That's not an archive. So, but As soon as someone else wants to make an archive out of their content, then they're very unhappy about it. All right. So Apple, let's go back to Apple, our friends Apple. They're cracking down on fake streaming fraud. They're intensifying their action against fraudulent streaming activity because billions of fake streams are reportedly identified and removed, and increased penalties aim to protect legitimate artists and royalty payments. So what does this mean? Well, it's the same thing we've been talking about forever. Friends, please don't chase the vanity. That's a new word. The vanity metrics. Please don't use a nefarious service that tells you that they're going to get you 2,000 streams or 2,000 views or 2,000 follows, because the vast majority of them are dodgy. They're not real, they're botted accounts, or they're very lowly paid workers in developing countries that's job is to sit there and create account after account and then just be streaming music. And streaming the minimum amount to qualify for a stream and a royalty payment, and then streaming another song. And it sounds funny, but there's literally a whole call centers and whole cubicle farms full of people doing exactly this, doing these micro tasks, creating accounts. Look, they're doing other things too. They're writing reviews. If you've ever been onto Amazon, or I'm picking on Amazon, but anywhere where they have reviews, Trustpilot even, there's this whole sort of ecosystem and economy based around creating accounts that they put enough into them to make them look semi-legitimate, and then they use those accounts to do things like stream music, stream videos on YouTube, put reviews on people's products for various different shopping sites. So I say all that to say Apple are joining. So Spotify have always been very big on this because they were the biggest target. So you've probably heard from people that don't like me because I promote DistroKid, because they're a sponsor of the channel, because they release their music through DistroKid. They then got a notification from Spotify saying you've got botted streams or you've got fraudulent streams, and then DistroKid have removed their music. And they're like, it's not fair. And look, sometimes it's not. Am I saying there's never false positives? No, there definitely are. And that's where you reach out and you explain your case and you try to prove it. Look, is it harder for you than Spotify? Are they always going to listen? No. But all I'll say is that myself and the people that I have helped and supported to get music out there that I know 100% hand on heart do not use any services or any dodgy playlisting services to get their music promoted, have never had music taken down from DistroKid or from any distributor for that matter. But the warning here is that if Apple report back to DistroKid, say, hey, we've had 10,000 fraudulent streams for this particular artist, yeah, you can bet that you're going to get questioned and potentially have impact on that. So be very careful. Be careful, yes. Take a bite out of bots. Absolutely. All right, so have you seen... I want to see, can I actually buy... I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to jump over here and see if I am able to currently buy a Mac Mini, because the word on the street is that they're virtually unavailable. Well, what have we got over here? Ooh, that's an interesting... okay. Choose AirPods or an eligible accessory. So they know that it's the start of the year and there's university students that are buying stuff. That's a cool design, though. Look at that. I like it. Am I going to break the terms of service? What do they break? Related to which one? Let's see. Let's come in here to Mac. I thought, yeah, let's go and buy a bot stream live on the show. To show you what not to do, let's do it ourselves. No. But the word on the street is that if you come in here to buy a Mac Mini, let's see, that you won't be able to. And I'll tell you why in a minute, but let's buy one for now. Make it easy to buy. From $9.99, yes, because I pay the Australia tax, from $9.99. So if I just want an absolute base model. Oh, by the way, have you noticed, if you've gone to buy something from Apple lately, they used to have a different funnel where you had like 3 pre-built kind of configurations, and then you went into the configurators to add and tweak things. Now, it's like Dell. It's all configurator from the start. So anyway, we'll go just the M4 chip. We'll go the 16 gig of RAM. We'll leave it at the 16. Oh, you can go up to 64 gig of RAM. I didn't know that. Let's be realistic. We'll go at least 512 there. So it's or choose from more options. So that's weird. It's got the choose how much you need, or choose how much you need, and see pricing and changes. So it doesn't even show you how much that is. Gigabit Ethernet, and no Final Cut Pro, and no Logic Pro. All right, let's see. No trade-in. All right, just the way you want it. When will it be available? In stock, free shipping, or pick up today. Okay, so it's not as bad as the what do they say? The rumors of Mac Minis not being available have been grossly exaggerated. But I think the thing is that it's more the higher end ones. So if I change that to a Mac Mini Pro with like 48 gigabytes of RAM, it probably wouldn't be in stock. Because why? AI. Yeah. So demand is fueling AI development workloads. So shipping windows are going out and extended delivery times. So because the Apple Silicon is so efficient and so good for using like things like AI bots. There's the Claude bot, which a lot of people are doing at the moment, which is basically creating your own AI that sits on your network. So it does the processing, it does the heavy lifting so that you don't rely on cloud servers. And look, in isolation, that's pretty good because you're not relying on a whole bunch of data transmission going on and a whole bunch of off-site processing. But again, it just means you're using the processing at your place. So there you go. RAM stock is gone. Yes, so RAM is definitely struggling and suffering from the same sort of stuff as well. All right, a couple more things here. Paramount and Disney, they're issuing an AI cease and desist to ByteDance over an AI tool C-Dance. So yeah, they center around potential intellectual property infringement. So yes, let's get our tiny violins out for Paramount and Disney because yeah, they were going to buy that ivory back scratcher. We already talked about Apple iOS 26.4 and Num 26.4, and then the M4 iPad Air we already talked about because we did things a little out of order today. All right. Should we dive on in? So what does Thomas say here as I put my devices on to Do Not Disturb? Because yeah, I know you heard me ding. I know you're hearing the dings. they're pretty good. So I went up to 1 terabyte SSD with the M4 Mini. Should have gone to 2 terabytes. Already down to 200 gig. Yeah, look, as much as you can use external hard drives with a Mac and with an iPad, it's just not as convenient as having it on the one SSD, especially if you're using Logic Pro or, in Thomas's case, things like Fruity Loops Studios and whatnots. It's, yeah. As soon as you have samples and all your projects, and especially if you start doing video stuff, you're going to run short on storage. So get as much as you possibly can. And this is the case too, Mark. It's exacerbated. So the rumors of new Mac Minis coming, new more powerful Mac Minis coming in March is probably exacerbating the same problem. So stock's already low because they're kind of at the low point of their stock cycle, but there have also all these people buying them up for for AI. TB. Does TB stand for Tremor Bear? Sure, it can. Why not? That's right. Yeah, and some things just can't be. Some work fine. If you're just storing, like if you're storing your music library, that's fine. You can store your music library there and you can pull it in and play it in whatever app you want to, VLC player or whatever you use to play audio or video. Same with video libraries. So data and media is fine. But even things like loops and samples, libraries and things like that, like there's ways around it with Mac, but you kind of have to go into the back end and create all these weird links. Like I did it at one point on my old Mac Mini with the GarageBand and Logic Pro sound libraries, but it never quite worked. It just always wanted to pull you back to the original one. I'd make one change and it would completely mess up and I'd lose all the links. It's like, no, you don't have these. And I'm like, yes, they're here. You downloaded them yesterday. They're all right here. And it will go, I see nothing. Yeah. Yes, TB for Tremor Bear. You know it. You know it. All righty. Shall we? Symbolic link and hard link, deep Unix stuff. Yeah, and that's the thing. You kind of need to be a coder. You need to, or a programmer, as we said back in my day, to understand how this stuff actually comes together and how it works. And I've never been good at it. Should we have a bit of a play? Should we go into our Logic Pro here and play with some keyboards? What I'll do is I'll do what we did last time. Let's see if we can find it on the fly here. The Logic Pro user guide. Getting warm in here. I'm going to, at the risk of having you have issues here, I'm going to, with the sound, otherwise you'll see me sweat. So we have to make a trade-off here between whether you want to see me sweat or whether you want to hear a slight breeze in the microphone from the air conditioner. So I'm going to go with the slight breeze sound for now. All right, let's download the 1200. I should just have a copy of this on my desktop. I don't know why I don't. So if you've never used the Logic Pro for iPad guide before, here it is. Logic Pro user guide for iPad. And here is the content. So what's new in Logic Pro 3? So this is the easiest way to go and find things. So the synth players, we've got the intro to synth player styles. So let's take that. So here's the synth player styles for Logic Pro for iPad. And what we want to do is come down to where it shows us the keyboard stuff, because we already looked at all the bass player performances last time. And we got to the point where we were looking at the keyboards. And then we stopped because there was so much in here. There's so much under the hood. Let's embiggen this, shall we? That's better. My old man eye can't see things as well as it used to. Here we go. So now we're into the keyboard setting. Here's the pads. All right. Edit a synth keyboard performance for Logic Pro for iPad. All right. Yes. Fire up the AC. I know. And it's worse, Boomer, because normally I wear a black T-shirt so that you don't have to look at the pit stains. Is that too much information? You're all thinking it. All righty. Just destroyed my vision of a basket of externals. Yeah, I know. Exactly. And I have that happening too. I've got SSDs out the wazoo. But, and again, even though I've got the Mac Studio, which has 4 ports on the back, I'm already using them all. So I've actually got I've still living the dongle life. I thought I could be dongle free, but I'm still living the dongle life because I've got a couple of things that are old school USB-A, like my CD player and like my chargers and stuff. So I still do have a USB-C to USB-A multi-port adapter that I put in there. All right, we'll turn that off just for a minute. We're going to do it in bursts here. Giving you far too much behind-the-scenes information, aren't I? Now, did I hear a rumor? Speaking of Professor Boomer, are you on Frank's show today? I thought I saw that. Please correct me if I'm totally wrong and off base on that one, but I'm pretty sure I saw that Professor Boomer is on Frank's show coming up in, about an hour or so? That's very cool. All right, so editing a synth player. You can use the synth keyboard styles in Logic Pro to create authentic electronic synth performance in various styles. In addition to the common settings available, the synth keyboard comes with settings unique to each synth keyboard player. They appear in the session player region when a session player keyboard style is used for the selected player region. So they are simple pad, modulated pad, and rhythmic chords. So we can change the note settings for simple pad and modulated pads. In the Logic Pro, tap the main button. Yep. Then change either sustain notes of the same pitch that are common across multiple chords, or to shift the start of the note so that it's ahead or behind the beat. Can drag the note start knob and change the length of notes, drag the note length knob velocity. So weirdly, when they first released this, they didn't really add or change a lot when it came to this. Yeah, there you go. Frank Terzo has Professor Boomer. Very cool. Love it. So let's come in here and do this. So the simple pad, I don't think they changed any of the options here. I'm intrigued to find out if I'm wrong on this one, but I don't think in the keyboard player, because we had simple pad before. It was one of our keyboard player styles before was the simple pad. And I think it had all these same things. And because when I'm in here, like, and it says change additional note settings for simple pad and modulated pad. I don't see. Oh no, I do. The notes. Okay, there they are. So it says it's actually wrong because it says in Logic Pro tap on the main button in the session player editor. And here's where I get confused. And here's where you need me and not just the manual, because you'd be looking around here for a long time to find the main tab. Why does it say main tab? Well, because if you go to the modulated pad, it does have a main tab. But there is no main tab because you don't have any of these additional options on the simple pad. So if you just read that manual by the letter of the law, what it should say is on the simple pad, just go to it. And it says, if using the modulated pad, first make sure you've clicked on the main tab. So it doesn't actually say the details that it needs to have there. So we have the same thing that we have for everything here. You've got your left hand where you can do root, root and octave, root and fifth, root, fifth and octave. So if you don't know what that's all about, your root note is exactly that. It's the root note of the chord. So if we've got a chord progression that's set up here, C, D minor, A minor, F, then it's going to just focus on the root note there. Root and octave means it's going to go do, da. Think of the start of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere. So it's going to play a whole octave. And then root and fifth is somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to play the fifth note as well. Root, fifth and octave. Somewhere. Yeah. So you're going to get all of those. So let's just make it root and fifth and octave so you can hear them all. The voicing, you can either have the 1 voice, 2 voice, 2 voice fixed interval, 2 voice common tone, 3 voice common tone, voice wide, full chord. So yeah, you can play around with all of these, and music theory lesson we don't need to have today. But basically, the more you go down here, the more sort of complex it's going to get, and the more you go up here, the simpler your pad's going to be. If you just want a sort of single note pad, you'll use it up there. You've also got this one, your tie notes. So you can tie the notes to the right and left hand, or just the left hand, or just the right hand as well. So if we play this out of the box, we're going to get a sound something like these. Oh yeah. Forever young, I wanna be forever young. What if that's enough to get a copyright claim? Pete instantly regrets singing song. All right, let's just create a section of this one here. What am I doing? Up there. All right. So we'll just create a 8-bar little loop here, and I want that to be a bit faster. 90 BPM is a bit slow for this, so let's dial this up and make it like 104. I never do 104. Let's go 104. Hello, Brad example, by the way. Hello, Ed Z. Thanks for being here. We'll just spread this out so we can see what we're doing. So you got your normal controls here. So let's say we wanted a low pad. We wanted this to be more like the bass sound. We can lower the chord down like so, and it's kind of nice. And you can also bring it up higher. And the spacing, if you want to have a really big sort of wide open chord, you can get the tops and the bottoms. Or just high. Pretty cool. So we'll bring it back down here. And do not forget, you're not stuck with this sound. If you don't like that pad sound, you can come in here to instrument patches and you can use any other sound you like. So if you wanted like a... That one's kind of cool. The Mod Head Sizzler. So if we tap on the Sizzler, and now when we play... That's rad. Except it's going to make it hard to show you the next bit. So we're just going to go back to the classic analog pad for now. Tap on that. And by the way, if you're wondering here, I always have this selected, which automatically, when you tap on something, it automatically brings it in there. Because I find it clunky when you have to drag things across and remembering where to put them and putting them on the wrong track and then creating a whole fresh track instead of just changing the patch you're using. So I recommend having this set. If that's blue, it means that when you can preview something and then when you want it, you just tap on it and it instantly changes that pad. So for this one, we'll just go back to the classic analog pad so that we can show you what these ones do. So these are the only things I think that have been added here, which is your note start, your note length. So note start, we can actually change this. So if we want it to go before, so we can bring it, say, 50% before, it's going to create a bit of a lead-in kind of thing. So let's take a listen. And you won't really hear it until we actually put some a beat behind it. So let's just add a very subtle drum beat here. And we'll use some electronic drums on this one. Electronic drama. We just need like a synth pop. Let's go synth pop. So that we can just have a doom, So you can hear there that it's actually coming through earlier. So the notes start. If you want more of that delay, sort of slow attack start, then we can go the other way. And I'm doing these at like 50%. You'd normally just do these at like maybe 10, 20% just to, because you just don't want that really robotic feel, unless you really want the robotic feel. But sometimes, especially with a pad, you want it to kind of just ease in and kind of lazily go. So now we'll do it after the note. So take a listen. And this can work well if you, say, do a melodic instrument, which is what we'll get to next. Having it like that can actually work. Your note length is exactly what it sounds like. If you want shorter notes, so you want the note to cut off, see there, it actually changes the note length so it cuts off. So now... And there's still a bit of sustain on there because of the ADSR envelope that we have on this, which you can change and you can do all things. You can come in here and spend a long time adding different things here on the synth. So don't forget, you can still come in here. You've got a whole bunch of options because your player is not changing the sound, it's changing the way it plays. And this is probably the thing that's taken me the longest to work out in Logic, is that everything is separate. So you've got your patch, and what your patch does is it adds in all these plugins. So the fact that we've got these retro synth with some tremolo and some tape delay, that's all based on this classic analog pad. As soon as we change this, it changes this. So there's the instrument, which is your bass sound. So your ripping waves is that, and it's added a compressor as part of that patch as well. If we go to like the analog waves here that we had before, it's just got a compressor on it. Warm waves, got nothing. So warm waves is just the default sound. Yeah, Professor Boomer says it perfectly. Player is just a MIDI creation tool. It has nothing to do with the actual sound. It has everything to do with the way the MIDI notes are played, or in this case, generated and put in your track. So that's fine. Ooh. And yeah, you can create your own patches. So you can edit these and then save them in. In fact, that's going in the list. I was looking for things that we need to cover that I haven't already for Logic Pro. And I'm working on a video at the moment, thanks to our mate Brad, about the sends and receives, just a nice simple guide to sends and receives. And I also want Logic Pro, create your own patch. Because yeah, you can actually come in here and do the tweaking and then save it out. If you want to make your very own pad and you want to tweak some of the settings and change up some of the synth sounds, you can do that. We'll go back to the classic analog pad because I think it works best for the demo purposes here that we're going with. All right, let's reset. Oh, by the way, yeah, great points here from Tremor Bear. You can play the low notes and pan them on another track and play the high notes and pan the other way. And yeah, so you can, if you're not happy with the way that it's doing because usually a pad will, or a patch will actually have a stereo plug-in or a stereo component to it, meaning that the low notes do go on your left and your high notes do go on your right. But yeah, there's nothing stopping you from setting up two pads, putting your low notes and then panning that more to the left, high notes panning it more to the right, and you can have a lot of fun with that. And yes, your timing does have to be right on, especially if you're using things like delay and whatnot. Are these stock Logic Pro sounds? Yep, all of these are stock. You'll learn, Mulatto, that I'm the king of stock. But yes, you can connect any AUV3 synth in addition to the stock sounds, 100%. So when we're using the instrument patches here, we're using these. These can also be anything that you've got. So you can be using your own different sounds. As well as these ones, as well as your own your own sounds. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do without. Yeah, you could do it with any of your external synths if you're that way inclined. I'm a simple guy. I'm a simple man with simple needs, but you absolutely can. And hello to you, Leela. Hope you are well. Let us go to the keys, boards, players, and this time We're going to pop back in and we're going to, because that's everything we can do, by the way. Let's go back to our manual. That's everything that you can do with the simple pad. But your modulated pad and your rhythmic chords, they have some extra features. So Logic Pro, you can use additional settings to add variations. So in the synth player, tap the details, and for modulated pad, you can adjust the rhythmic variations in the envelope pattern. So you drag the phrase variation value. And for rhythmic chords, you can, to adjust the probability of rhythmic variations over time, drag the rhythmic value. And to adjust the variation of fills, drag the fills value. So this is where I disagree with the way that Logic Pro and Apple's manuals in general work things. I'm a compartmentalized person. I don't like learning a thing about two different things because they're slightly different, which is why when I'm going to put together my guide to all this, my view and the way I'm probably going to go is to do simple pad, modulated pad, and rhythmic chords. Even if I'm repeating some of the same content, I think it's easier to go, here's everything you need to know about modulated pad, and here's everything you need to know about rhythmic chords, even though there's some crossover between the two. And yes, am I using this as a learning platform so that I can then go and create the tutorials? Absolutely I am. I'd be silly not to. So let's look for the modulated pad. We've come over here. We've added a modulated pad here. Here's one I prepared earlier. And what we're looking at here is under the details section here. Is it details? Modulated pad, yeah, tap the detail. For modulated pad, rhythmic variations, drag the phrase variation. So this is your phrase variation. So you've got the same thing we've had before. You've got this strum, you've got velocity here. You can humanize it and you can adjust the tempo as well. We'll get into that in a sec. But the one thing we have here, and we'll just we'll leave it on this deep majesty for now. Here's what it has out of the box. So let's play with the phrase variation and show you what this does. So let's turn it up halfway and we'll take a listen. So what you're hearing now is it's not just doing dung dung da dung dung da dung. Dung, 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 dung. It's doing a different rhythm every time. And if we bring the phrase variation up to 11, it's going to do something very different every time. And like most of our things, if you're like, I like it, but I don't like it, just hit regenerate and it will slightly tweak all of the settings that you have there. Let's just give this a little bit better view so you can see what's going on there. There we go. That looks better. So we'll turn this phrase variation down to maybe just like 20% there, just to go with that. Let's go back to our guide here. So create a strum effect with modulated pad. So for the modulated pad and rhythmic chords, you can delay the start of individual notes within a chord, creating a strummed effect similar to a guitar or other stringed instrument. Positive values arpeggiate from low to high notes, and negative arpeggiate from high to low. Details button, and then drag vertically on the strum knob. Should we play with our strum knob? Yep, let's play with our strum knob. So here's your strum. So what does this mean? Well, you would have heard there that it was playing block chords. So if we go with the strum, it's going to create an arpeggiated chord. So let's go 50% up and see how it's now going low to high. So this is going to create a cool little arpeggio going. Let's try it. And if we want to go the other way, so we want to actually arpeggiate it going from high to low, if we bring the strum over here, you'll see it does the opposite. Let's go 100%. Let's strum this sucker. All right. And you can hear the phrase variation. It's still got a little bit of that phrase variation in there. I kind of like the strumming going up. Let's just see if we can do it a little bit subtly here. Let's try this. It kind of creates more of a like a ramp up effect on the pad by having the strum on there. Let's bring it back into our mix. Very cool. All right, let's look at what else we can do over here. And we're going to continue on again with the modulated pads. So set the velocity. You can set the velocity of notes in the session player region. Logic Pro, tap details, session player editor, drag vertically on the velocity knob under details. So where is our velocity knob? Here it is. Boop. So that's this knob here. So velocity, let's just have a look at this. At the moment it is at the maximum. If we turn it down, see how the velocity, so we're basically saying, synth player, play it a little quieter, and they'll do that. Really quiet. So you want a nice subtle pad in the background? Virtually not played at all, right? Or so this can be key, especially if you're doing like a rock song and you want a pad, but the pad is like harsh. You can hear it cutting through too much. You can actually turn it down using the sort of global velocity. And the beauty of this is, like, if you had this as a MIDI track, yeah, you'd have to go in there, select all the MIDI notes and change the velocity. But it still keeps in some of the other playing styles, because don't forget, we also have humanize over here, which means that it'll change up things like the timing and the velocity. So it won't be exactly the same all the time. So if we go with like a 20% velocity and 50% humanize, it's going to sound a lot more natural when we play it back. And sometimes you go too human and it starts sounding like, oh, that sounds like me if I was trying to play a synth, which is usually not good. Yeah. Sorry, I've realized I don't have a strum a little knob, but ding, 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 ding. I used the dials to get a great bass line in something yesterday. Yeah, you can just keep tweaking, and it's cool. It was way too complex and intense. It was way too complex and not intense enough. Yeah, that's the thing. Just use your dials. See you, Mark. Thanks for being here. Sorry, I'm just scrolling down because I didn't. I haven't been seeing things. We have a question. The USB light of the Steinberg 22 door flashes constantly if I use the Ugreen 4-port hub. Is that a problem? I have to switch back to the Apple dongle. It's not a problem. Are you using power pass-through, Joe? It's usually related to the power that you're sending to it. So your Ugreen 4-port hub. Here's what I prepared earlier. Actually, I'm going to unbox this one, so I haven't actually showed it yet. Wait, do I have the green screen on this one? I do. Oh, let's go off. Oh, wait, let me. I've got to unlock the scene. Hang on. I realized I've still got my green screen. There you go. I was wondering why that was a different color. That's weird. Yeah, all these Ugreen, I just bought a brand new one. This one's got like networking and USB-C and a bunch of stuff. I'm replacing my other one. It's the same. It's basically just a more fancy, expensive version of it. But make sure that you've got good power going into it. And by good power, I mean, usually if you use something like the actual power brick that came with your iPad, that can work well. Because if there's power going in, but it's, say, just a low wattage USB power, like 20 watts or something, or like from an iPhone plug or something like that, it sometimes won't work. So for mine, I've got it plugged in. So the power pass-through is plugged in there, but it's actually plugged into, and look, if you've got like a laptop charger or something, anything USB-C that's sending like 65 watts or 80 watts or even 100 watts, that's going to be best. So it's usually to do with the blinking light is saying, I'm kind of working, but there's not enough power here and you might have some issues. So generally it's to do with that. So I would look at what you're plugging in. And if you're not plugging anything in, well, then that's probably the problem. But yeah, have a look at what you're plugging in. You might need a powered hub, but usually you can still just use the adapter, because what the adapters are is they're basically like a powered hub if you power them. But the trap is you can use them unpowered and they'll work, but they might be draining too much power, especially if it's trying to run the Steinberg and your iPad and anything else that you've got there. And also, yeah, great point here from Ed Z. USB-C cables are not all created equal. So I've got a sort of thick, chunky, braided USB-C cable that actually supports full power pass-through. If you're using a cheaper USB-C cable, it sometimes doesn't work. If you've got a Thunderbolt cable, even better, because Thunderbolt is always backwards compatible, or generally backwards compatible with all your different ones. Or get, as Boom is saying here, go the standalone adapter. I used that a hybrid process for a long time, where I still used my 10-DAC 4-port powered hub, and then I plugged my USB-C adapter into that and used it that way. So there's a lot of things, but yes, the power drain is variable, because don't forget that your iPad is going to use more power when it's actually doing stuff, and that'll pull power away from your interface. And your interface, when it's using the preamp, is going to use more power. And obviously, when it's using phantom power, it's going to use more power than it will. And when it's doing the analog to digital conversion, it's going to use more power. So it can sit there looking like it's fine. And this is the problem we used to have back with the old Lightning. That's why I just said, hands down, just use a dedicated, genuine Apple Lightning to USB-C adapter. Lightning to USB adapter back in the day, the Lightning to USB 3, because people would use these dodgy ones and it would work until it didn't. Because they didn't have the MFI, the made for iPod, which is actually what it was called, chip in there, and they didn't have good power regulation, which meant that they would work for a little bit. Like, say you plugged a dynamic mic in, it would work, but then your iPad starts trying to process things and optimizing performance back in the day, and then you plug a microphone in with needing condenser power, needing the phantom power, and then it shits itself. So that's the case. I probably need a GarageBand. Maybe I do need that. I worry though, because even though it's fine, I don't think the Got Milk people are coming after Dan for this one, or the Nevada people for the cool. I love this because it's an homage to everything, everything that's cool. Everything 90s and everything grunge. All right, should we get back to this? Let me know how you go, Joe. Shoot me an email if you're struggling, or a Patreon message. That's the benefit of being a patron and supporting me here. What are some budget iPads for music production? Hold that thought. We'll come back to that. Once we've got to the end, we'll do a final Q&A session at the end, and I will tag that question to talk about at the end as well. What other things have we got for the modulated? Here we go. Velocity we've talked about. The envelope generator for the modulated pad. The rhythmic basis of the modulated pad style is derived from accents in the pattern. Unlike other session players, the patterns button for the modulated pad style is located in the envelope view. You can use the envelope generator along with the LFO to shape the sounds and accents into pulses, swells, or something in between. Change synth player LFO settings, or choose a rhythmic pattern. So we have looked at this with some of the bass stuff, so I won't spend a heap of time on this one, but we can jump into the envelope and show you some of the things we can change here. So let's tap on our envelope, and this along with those plugin settings we were showing before is sort of part of it. So this is kind of where it's not really changing the sound. The sound is still driven by the actual pad or the actual patch that you're using, but this envelope will change the way it reacts. So I guess this is where it gets a little bit less straightforward, saying, well, this isn't impacting the sound. When you're looking at the envelope, your attack and your decay and your release, it kind of is. So what can we do with this? Well, we can just change where this goes. So what does a slower attack mean? Well, it means that it's going to go into the note slower. And the same with your decay, it's going to come down again slower. So your hold is in the middle there, and then you've got your attack and basically your release at the end. So if we wanted like a nice sort of ramp up and then ramp back down, we can do that. And we can also change the middle points there, so it doesn't have to be a straight line. So let's do this. Let's do like a quick build, hold, and fall off the end, and see how this sounds when we play it back. Or we can go the other way around, right? We can make it do a real sharp incline, and this can give you some really fun sounds where it sharply goes up and comes down. Let's take a listen. Or what if we want a really fast attack? We want it to hit it straight away, right? We just want it to go ba-na-ba. And if you're hearing that they're not all attacking, don't forget that we also have a strum effect on here. So if we turn off the strum effect and everything's going at the same time, your envelope's going to actually sound a bit more like it should. And even though we've got 0 attack here now, the actual patch, this is where things kind of work a bit weird together. The actual patch here that we're using has a bit of a delayed attack on it. So if we went to, if we use something with a faster attack like the Studio Grand here, then you'll hear that it will hit the note straight away. Kind of like that. Let's get a bit of velocity. Right? Hello, Phil Gone. Hello, Pete Erie. Hope you're doing well, guys. There you go. So I wanted to change it up to the piano just to show you that you don't have to just use these with synths. Like, you can use the same sort of playing styles and use whatever you want out here. So whatever. What about, let's go with 70s glam piano. Not a grand piano, but a glam. All right, bring it back into our mix, see if this works. Yeah, great question, Professor Boomer. As we've discovered and established, I'm far from an expert of what it's actually doing to the MIDI stuff, because I started getting into MIDI and then I realized that I didn't know what I was doing. So values outside of note values and velocity values are completely foreign to me. All your MIDI CC stuff, all of your mod wheel and your pitch bends and everything else, I'm not sure what it's actually doing to the underlying MIDI. I suppose what you could do is convert it to a MIDI track to C. Let's just do that here. So if we convert this to a MIDI region, keyboard player modulated pad, and again, I don't even know where in here, or even if it does indeed show any other details for each note in this. I'm sure it does, because it's got all of the, it's just showing that it's C3 and it's got its velocity. But no, outside of my pay grade when it comes to that level of MIDI stuff. Because it could be using a whole bunch of things. It's the good thing, and also the challenge of Logic Pro is if you just want to use it, you don't have to know what's happening here. You don't have to know all these plugins, because look at this. To create this one particular piano sound, it's using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different plugins on the actual track. It's using a whole bunch of different MIDI notes and MIDI data to actually create the performance as well. So but yes, you report back once you've worked out what it does. Because I must admit, I used to be a let's go under the hood and see the why. Now I'm very much the what. So I'm more of a what teacher, because the vast majority of people don't really care what the magic box is doing. They would just rather have that. Have the thing work and make sound. Make music go sound now. All right. And back to your envelope, you can change things around, like you can change the attack there. You can use the dials instead of actually dragging these. So that's another way that you can do that. And you can shift the start as well, so that the whole envelope will start at a different position. So there's other things that you can do, and the envelope length as well. Which is under here. So you can be relative, absolute scaled, absolutely clipped, and absolute fixed AD. Do I know exactly what all those mean? No, I don't. So, but if you play around with them, if you're an envelope person and if you know all about your synth stuff, you'll know a lot more than me. I kind of like that. That sounds a bit like a bit of a Coldplay tone. Hello, Costa. Hope you're doing well. Got your question. I'll tap that from Pete Erie. I will have a look at that for you as we get to some questions at the end of the show. Let's see, what else have we got here that we can play with? We've got the change the MIDI CC target and offset, which again, that's well outside of my level of knowledge. I know very little about MIDI, apart from that it is the data that sends the notes and other parts of the playing into your DAW. Adjust the phrasing. So then we're into rhythmic chords. So there's a couple of other things for rhythmic chords. So we'll basically now have to go back and we're going to add some rhythmic chords to this. So synth keyboard player. So we'll start again from the top here, but this time we're going to, let's just see if this song's still actually making any sense with these instruments. It is, but because we put that delay, I'm not liking the delay that we have on this analog pad. So we can come back into it, go to our performance and put our note start back to there. I like the shortened note length because it just makes it sound. We need a more subtle drum too. Not that it really matters, obviously. So we'll lower the complexity and intensity of these drums just to get a simpler drum performance. Actually, I think we need like 80s style. I like that. All right, we'll go with that for now. Again, it doesn't really matter, but I just wanted to make sure that, this sounds like a loop that you would actually put together and play. Let us now hit the plus button here and add in another keyboard player. This time we're going to choose the rhythmic chords player because we want to check this one out. It has a lot of the same stuff. So you can, and in fact, this time we'll go like root and octave on this one. Style here. So we've got sustain only, simple, moderate, complex, follow right hand, steady fourths or steady eighths. So because we've got rhythmic chords, there's different types of rhythms. So sustain only is going to give you this out of the box. Then we can change up what we want here. So we can go a more simple pattern, and it's going to add in a little bit more. So it's adding in some of those additional bass notes for the octave. Moderate, which is... And we can get more complex, like so. And the cool thing is you can use this basically as a bass. Even though it's not the bass, you can just throw the hands down and you can create more of like a bass sound with this, even though you're using the keyboard player, if you want more of a rhythmic bass. But again, you'd want to change around your patches if you were doing something like that. So we'll bring it back up to sort of the mid-range here, and we will make it more of a simple sound. So we've got... Cool. Let us go and see what we can do with this. Oh yeah, it's the best elevator music ever. No, don't have to worry about it. Mate, if I could get into the sweet, sweet elevator music game, I'd be set for life, mate. All right, so rhythmic chords. To adjust the probability of rhythmic variations over time, drag the rhythm value and adjust the variation of fills over time as well. So where are these? So these are on our details button, which is where we were hanging out before. So the details options we have here, we have the fill complexity and we have the fill amount. So if we just say, make it really complex fills all the freaking time, can it get something like this? And And then we've also got in the details section here, you got your note length and your strum that we had before, your feel, your dynamics, your tempo, but you've also got this. You can have your phrasing here, and this is what we were looking at before, your phrase variation. So let's vary the rhythm and the fills both by 100%. This is my tip. If you're using a new plugin, a new instrument, a new tool, you don't understand it, read the manual, sure, but then turn it up to its maximum and see what it does. And you'll very quickly hear what not to do or how much of something is too much of something. Let's give it a play. As you can tell, way too much. But then you can just drop these back down again and just vary it a little bit. And then you can go like just a sprinkling. It's like when you put salt on your food. You empty a salt shaker on there and it's terrible. You add just the right pinch and you're golden. And again, we probably wouldn't want that many fills and that much complexity. So you just want to make it nice and... And what I'm hearing there is the note length. I want that to be longer because I'm hearing that I want those notes to be connected. So let's do this. Don't forget we have our strums, so if we want it to be more of an arpeggiated effect, you can get something really funky. There you go. Or maybe just a little bit. Of course, you have to be careful with stuff like that because you can quickly get it out of time, which with this sort of sound, you generally don't want to do. What else have we got with our rhythmic chords that we can learn about here? So for the modulated rhythmic chords, you can delay the start of individual notes. Well, we've already played with the strum effect. We don't need to strum our knobs anymore. And the other one's a modulated pad, which we've already played with. Anything else for the rhythmic? Envelope note length for adjusting the phrasing note length for rhythmic chords. Phrasing pop-up menu. So you can choose phrasing to play staccato notes, different combination of more long notes and short notes, all long notes, then you can fine-tune the length of notes. Okay, so this is under the details and then change phrasing and note length. So let's just have a quick look at this. We've already sort of played with this, so there's your note length, but here's your phrasing. So do we want like accentuated 1, 2, 3, 4, medium, long? So every time we change this, it's going to adjust the way the notes are played. So let's play this one. Medium. Long. So that's probably what I'd actually want with this one. I want them to sustain and kind of fill up the empty space there as opposed to sort of jump off so that you... Cool. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. And as I mentioned last week, we looked at the LFO for the bass. So I'm not going to look at that specifically, but yes, you can change your LFO and change your patterns and do a lot of fun things with this as well. I don't even know what that one does. That's going to do some cool gated thing, is it? Cool. So yeah, keyboard players, how rad. Very much fun to play with. And again, what I'll be showing you in future is not just, because obviously you can create some nice elevated music and some nice little loops to play along with, but the beauty of this is actually putting it underneath your existing songs. And the fact that we now have chord ID, so that we can actually identify the chords, because don't forget, all of this is based around these chords, and we can change these progressions with a tap, and then you get a whole different feel. So yeah, you've got the ability to adjust everything there. So using this to like put some nice Killers styles arpeggiated keys underneath your rock songs, or maybe you're a Muse fan and you want to get those nice arpeggios. That's the sort of thing I want to play with this, because it's like everything. It's an arpeggiator, it's a LFO, it's obviously all the different synth sounds and all the different sounds in the world that you want to use. And again, just to reinforce that, you don't have to use the instruments that they come with. You can change them. So if I wanted to, I could actually change this up to some string sounds. So if we come to my instrument patches and we search strings, and we want we need some better strings. Oh, a koto. Let's put a koto on this thing. So what would a koto do? What about some violins? Ooh. What about the studio violins? Come on. I love the concept of using a synth player to play some violins. You got your strings players there, and they're like, okay, give me the sheet music. And they're like, okay, but here's your LFO and here's your rhythmic pattern. And they're like, it's like worlds collide. Way to live. Those ones sound cool. Yes, how cool are the Mellotron violins? Very 70s indeed, and they sound better being played like. Yeah. No, there's you can spend days anyway searching around in there. Yeah, just need some dub delay. Dub it up, baby. You can spend hours making sounds. I remember the Jupiter 8 back in the 80s, all the knobs, switches, and sliders. Yeah, who was it? Someone on YML yesterday did a really cool song. I forget who it was. It was sort of towards the end of the show, so I was a bit delirious. But yeah, like they played in this beautiful keys sound, this beautiful electric piano sound, and they were using a Jupiter 8, which is very cool indeed. Yeah. Okay. Eighth note set to triplets or dotted is the best dub sound. Yeah, that's like that kind of reggae vibe. Not something that I'm familiar with or could do. I mean, I could do. Maybe, there you go. There's another idea for the future. Pete's new dub project. Yeah. I've never even really done a reggae song. I should do it. Yeah, a bit of spring reverbs. It took me the longest time to actually realize that these reverbs, like because you think about a hall reverb, and you think like, okay, yeah, it's like a hall, but plate reverbs and spring reverbs, they're actually using like big ass plates and big ass springs, like to create this sound. Like that's the original thing. I was just like, oh, it's a funny name, a spring reverb, but it's like no, it's actually using that. You can play anything, can't you? You can play, you can do it. So we've got a couple of questions that we're going to finish off with. Hello, Costa, by the way, driving around the mean streets of Melbourne town. I must get over to Melbourne again soon. I need to line up a trip with a Crows game. The Crows don't play in Melbourne too often, and when they do, last year, the one Crows game, sorry, this is just randomness, but that's what you come here for. The one game that was in Melbourne that I was able to actually get to, that it was a good time on a good day, was in Geelong. And with the utmost respect, Coldacre and Costa and Jade and folks that live in Melbourne, if I wanted to go to Geelong, I might as well just go to Whyalla. Oh, burn. No, he didn't. He didn't just say that Geelong was like Whyalla, did he? Yeah, I did. But no. Now, if I go to Melbourne and go to see a footy match, I want to go to the MCG or at least to... actually, I did get to one game. Towards the end of the season, I saw the Kangaroos game at Marvel Stadium. I was looking out for Costa, but he wasn't there. Apparently, he had the day off because he's a slacker. I've just realised I haven't got the dump set up to go over to Frankie Frank Turzo's channel. So let me just do that. Community Pulse starring Professor Boomer. That is so cool. All right. I'll make sure I throw the link here in the chat as well so that everything is sorted. Frank Terzo Community Pulse 102. Look, it's fine, but yeah, flying to Melbourne and then spending all my time in Geelong, it doesn't feel like it would be the thing to do. Yeah, shout out. I'm going to get in trouble. All of my friends and fans from Geelong. Actually, my former boss used to live, well, probably still does live in Geelong, and he would commute from Geelong into the city. And his train, it was like an hour and a half on the train. So we'd be having after work drinks, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I better go. My train, like if I don't get this train, I won't be home till like 10 o'clock." I'm like, how long is your train? And apparently, the Geelong to Melbourne is like a V line train, and it's like, what, hour and a half, Coldy, would be about that. I'm like, mate, so you travel 3 hours a day to come into Melbourne to go to the office, but housing prices, etc., etc. Oh, mate, look, you're talking about doing a Bradbury. Stephen Bradbury is an Australian legend. It was the Winter Olympics. Which one was it? It's got to be 20 years ago now. And I'd show you the footage, but the IOC don't mess about. They would take me down in a flash. But it was Stephen Bradbury. He was an Olympic speed skater. He was in the final for the gold medal. There were 5 skaters. He was expected to finish last, and they did like 6 laps, and he was like, go look it up. Look it up on YouTube. I'll give you, because you've got a bit of time in between, I'll give you the link, but I can't show it. But yeah, if you never saw this before, Stephen Bradbury gold medal. It's only like a 3-minute clip. So I'll paste that one here. So this is the speed skater. There you go. So go check out that one. It was nearly 2 hours. Nearly 2 hours to get. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, check out that link there to the video, and if you've got a second screen, like bring it up there and watch it, because it is nuts. There's these 4 other skaters, and they get to the final turn. And again, I cannot show you it because, again, I'll get in trouble. But they get to the final turn, and all 4 of them run into each other. It's an absolute comedy of errors. Like, one falls over, the other 3 all trip over themselves and all fly into the wall. And then Stephen Bradbury just skates past them, puts his arms up, and like looks around in shock as if to say, "What the heck happened there?" So yeah, It is the funniest thing. You've got to watch it. It is one of the best video. It's just so, yeah. I wonder if I can find a still image of it, because surely I can't get in trouble for a still image, can I? Stephen Bradbury winning gold, crossing line. Yeah, see, they're all videos, but. Like, check this out. So I'm sure I'll be in trouble with this one. Yeah. So there he is. So that's him skating. There's the other 3 scrambling on hands and knees. That's them after they all piled into the wall. And yeah, there's him just looking absolutely shocked as these people are like scrambling on their hands and knees. Look at him. It was an absolute train wreck. Yeah, it was this first dude that just flew off, but then these 3 got excited, all ran into each other, and and he just went on to win it. So it is cool. It was Salt Lake City. That's right, it was too. It was the Salt Lake City Olympics, Winter Olympic Games. So yeah, I haven't actually checked the scores. Did the Canadian and US women's teams both win? They were both. What did we look at yesterday? Like 50-1 odds to 51 odds on favourites. Winter Olympics women's hockey. What did they win by? Not even what the score was. It's what did they win by now? We want AI mode. I didn't realise there was an AI mode. Yep. United States and Canada. So. Okay, so US beat Sweden 5-0 and Canada beat Switzerland 2-1. So yeah, basically USA are absolute shoo-in. because yeah, and then yeah, if Canada only got up 2-1 over Switzerland, Svizzera. Sorry, I'm doing my Duolingo at the moment. I'm learning Italian, and they always use Switzerland, so I know now that Switzerland in Italian is Svizzera, and they always use Philadelphia. Don't know what it is, but whenever they need to use the name of a city, it's always Philadelphia. Well, for whatever reason. All right. We're obviously off the track here, but I do have a couple of questions that we tagged from earlier. Mulatto96, let's talk iPads real quick. And look, I wouldn't buy anything until the announcement in 2 weeks' time, because Apple look like they are going to announce new products, and some of them will probably be an iPad. Your sweet spot iPad for music production right now, based on budget, is the iPad Air. And look, you can get the brand new iPad Air from Australia for $5.99 Australian. It's actually, $9.99 Australian. It's from $5.99 US. In fact, if I can just take off the AU from this, it should take me to the US dollars, which is usually more relevant because more of you are in the US than are here in Australia. So for $5.99, that is the sweet spot of an iPad that'll give you more than enough power for music creation. Doesn't quite have the same screen or the same cameras, but to be very honest, if you're just doing it for audio, your screen and cameras are kind of secondary, but it's got a lot of good stuff in there. At the moment, it's running the A3 chip, which is plenty powerful enough for everything you want to do in either GarageBand or Logic Pro, and with the A4, if it's upgraded to the A4, even better. The good news is when these get upgraded by a small amount, there's people, usually like me, that want to go and get the latest and greatest. So they might trade theirs in. So what you tend to find is some refurbished models of the older ones. So that's always a good thing to do. So this is the iPad Air, and I would go the 13-inch if you can. So the 13-inch is going to cost more. It's going to cost $7.99, but a bigger screen does work better. Now, if you absolutely budget, the A16 iPad will still work. If you're using GarageBand, it does have a smaller screen using the A16 chip, but it's really, really cheap, from $349. So if budget is the number one concern and you're just getting into it and you want to start in GarageBand, look, this iPad here running an A16, my iPad Air 2, which I don't think they even have on there. Do they even? Yeah, they do. So my iPad Air 2 is what I first used in GarageBand, has the A8X chip with a 9.7-inch screen. I still have that. So that's what I was using when I was first creating music, and that ran GarageBand pretty well. A few optimizing performance related issues. But yeah, if you go with either the iPad Air and even the iPad Air 4th generation, this one here that's running the A14 is okay. The iPad Air 5th gen, I think, is the first one that used the M. Yeah, the M1. So any of your M chip iPads are great. iPad Air's a sweet spot. iPad Pro is obviously the absolute beast because it's running the M5 processor. But yeah, starts at $9.99. So if you are starting out in iPads, if you're getting your very first iPad, I would wait till the March announcement and see if they do announce this updated iPad vanilla with the A18 chip. If not, the current one at $349 is actually a steal and will work well. If you're going to branch out into Logic Pro, go for the Air or the Pro if you can afford it. We did have one more question. Did you hear anything about the company Native Instruments going belly up? I didn't. Should we do a quick check? We'll do the news check here. So Native Instruments. And yeah, look, exactly. I say all that and at the same time realize that saying, oh, it's only $350. Look, I don't have $350 to just throw at anything right now, which is why I try to help folks. I don't say buy the latest and greatest. If you get something, what is it? Secondhand, through Apple directly or through Amazon refurbished, is your best way to go. Because if you buy it from, your Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist kind of things, yeah, not so great. All right, so Native Instruments enters insolvency, but your plugins aren't going anywhere for now. Business continues as usual amidst pre-insolvency proceedings. So yeah, they filed for preliminary insolvency. So yeah, look, it doesn't. None of this sort of stuff bodes well, but stuff gets bought and sold all the time. And let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is that DistroKid are being repped by Goldman Sachs and Rain, and they're exploring a sale. Look, this happens with companies all the time, and they have to publicly announce if they're a company and they're a public company, or even if they're a private company. In this case, they do. They have to announce, yes, we are engaging with these companies, and people will know about it. And what does that mean? Well, it means that they will be looking to sell to someone else. It happens in business on a regular basis. Interestingly, DistroKid have been independent and doing their own thing, kind of bucking the trend for about 10 years. But yeah, they're investigating options for a sale. So it'll be the same for Native Instruments. A lot of these companies, there's kind of two reasons that they go down this track. One is that they are insolvent, meaning that they're not making enough money. And the other is that they're showing excellent profitability, which makes them a target and have appetite within the market for being sold. So yeah, so there'll be a company that will probably pick up Native Instruments. Probably, who's the one that keeps buying everyone? Is it Gibson? That bought, or no, Gibson got bought by, there's one company and like everything's under it now. Is it Gibson? People will know more about this stuff than I do. Gibson buys companies. What companies do they own? No, that's showing me like Mount Gibson. But I thought there was like at one point, yeah, like there was all these different companies, and is it like Yamaha? Like where did bought stuff? I don't know. Trying to follow who owns what. For me, basically, all the things I enjoy are now owned by Saudi Arabia. I play Pokemon Go on my phone, and that was sold from Niantic to Scopely. Fender bought Studio One. Like everything weird is going on in the world of who owns who. From a consumer point of view, it usually doesn't make that much difference. So the same with that. EA Sports, same deal. They've either been sold or are being sold off to something that's this Saudi Arabian, what do they call it? The Kingdom Fund, something. Basically, their state-funded company they have there. So yeah, there's all this stuff happens, and as I say about everything, yeah, make the good choices or the best choices that you can that are going to align to your values and your morals and your ethics. But sometimes you just like good stuff, and it's cool. Like that's why I don't sort of talk too poorly against people that just like to use Spotify, because I get it. I like what I like. I needed to buy a new USB-C multifunction hub, and I went onto Amazon, and they had this for like $53, and this has everything I need and then some, and I just couldn't, and I could get it delivered the next day. I just can't get that level of service going into a shop or going into any other company. And I know the things. Amazon's practices aren't great. Jeff Bezos keeps building giant cock rockets. I know all of that, but. Yeah, what are the alternatives? I know, and it's like I shop at one of the big two grocery chains here in Australia. I don't feel that great after I do it. I'd rather shop at little independent ones, but I get my Flybuys points, and I pay about 80% of what I'd pay at a local independent grocer. And it's like, yeah, does the end justify the means? Should you fight the power? Sometimes, yeah, but sometimes you also just got to live and you got to get by in society. So I'm not saying you need to turn a blind eye to what businesses are doing and the conduct of businesses, but it's really hard. It would be really hard to only buy and use products and services from 100% ethical companies, because humans be humans and people want line go up. So we'll go. Yeah, the new age of monopolies. Who bought the USA? Yes, let's bring it on back. Contact strings in Logic. Yeah, well, I've never used Contact. I've heard good things. I know people that use Contact and say it's rad, so it would be cool. All right, I think we're ready to finish up. What time is our friend Boomer over on the Pulse? In 34 minutes. So we've gone well and truly over time here today. I'll just check to make sure there were no final questions that I didn't answer. I think we've covered everything here that was asked on the show. So thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. And that is it for the live shows for this week. But we'll be back with the Creator Town Hall on Thursday evening, Friday morning Australian time. We've got a happy hour show, as we always do. Don't have a topic yet. What will I go with? Maybe grunge. Maybe I've got to wear this shirt. I've got to put this through the wash, and maybe we do a grunge show. Let's do a grunge show. Let's call it right now and do a grunge show. You've inspired me, Dan. So grunge happy hour sounds like fun. And then we've got Your Music Live and back to GarageBand Weekly again. There you go. I'm getting guitar setups done by a local shop. Well, this is the thing. I had the local dude that was awesome, and then he stopped doing it. He used to do setups, and then he now only does custom guitars. And I get it. Setups would be boring, and making your own custom guitars would be rad. But yeah, I need to find a guy. So if anyone knows a guy in Adelaide that does good guitar setups, then let me know. Yep, let's do it. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Mudhoney. I should go deep, shouldn't I? I should do like grunge B-sides or something. Like play Marigold by Nirvana and play like Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam. Although that's become a really popular song lately. Like that's like the second most streamed Pearl Jam song. Yeah, what are some other obscure grunge songs or grunge bands? I can't think of any off the top of my head. Cracker Man by Stone Temple Pilots. And I think too much. Maybe I even get the electric out and just play some solo electric. Plug in the DS1 and plug the electric in so I can actually play. I'm so happy because yeah. I don't know. Something to experiment with through the week. All right. That is going to actually do it. I will promise you I will leave this time. But thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for all your support here. And thanks for hanging. Oh, yes. I nearly lost you. I think that's in. Yeah, Cracker Man is a jam. I think I've got I don't think I've learnt Cracker Man, but I think I have. I think I've done the trees before. Screaming Trees. I'll look in my list. Oh, I got it here. Yeah, I did it. Oh, no, I didn't do it. Okay, I'm doing it. It was on my maybe list for my 2024 grunge show, and I never actually learnt it. I nearly lost you. Yeah, deep cuts of grunge. Absolutely. All right, leaving. Sorry, I'm getting excited now about talking about grunge. All right, thank you for being here. Be kind to yourself, folks. Be kind to others. And I'll see you next time here on GarageBand Weekly. Let's go out with a little bit of this track, shall we? Bye for now.